Hi, this is Alexcursus, a show where I take a look at a Gundam figure or Gunpla and see if they are authentic. This time, we are taking a look at the HGUC RGM-79D GM Code District type. Like its model number and name suggests, it is a variant of the GM. And fittingly, this HGUC Gunpla is based on the HGUC GM. I will rate the authenticity of this Gunpla based on saga, style, action, gimmick, and absence. Style is how closely the Gunpla resembled its appearance in the anime, manga, law books, or other media, or if some specific style have been added. Does it make the mobile suit more believable as a real machine, or otherwise make it more appealing in other ways? Or does those extra styling sticking out like a sore thumb making it just? So to start with styling, the HGUC GM code district type is pretty close to its anime appearance in terms of proportion. That is because by the time the War in the Pocket rolled out, it had been several years after Gundam Zeta. Basically, all the mobile suits have turned their proportion from the power armor to the more robot person type of proportion. As we have mentioned that it is based on the HGUC GM, and so the thigh is a bit short, but for the purpose of styling, it doesn't hurt its look too much. Now, before we proceed and take a look at more details on this GM code district type, we should look at the sticker sheet. Unlike the GM, it has a lot more color correction needed, or provided, let's put it that way, because the GM does have yellow Vulcans, but no color correction sticker was provided. In case of the code district type, the vents near the mouth supposed to be red. Some of these exhausts on the chest supposed to be red. There's a yellow sticker for the V on the skirt. Due to the design change, there's no Federation star on the shield, replaced with a Federation logo as a sticker. Now, I did use the two stickers for the leg thruster apogee motors, which, to be honest, you don't really see it, but I tried. Maybe it's the metallic of the sheet itself, or maybe they're just too small to begin with. They look like bumper lights now. I guess that's one interpretation. Either way, for me, yes, it is kind of sad that this kit does not have close color correction like the vents, and basically the vents. All the vents are red, and despite a lot of red separation on this model, they're not in red, and it's color correction that's kind of sad for me, and I do think I will reduce points from that. But otherwise, the stickers are not as important, pretty much like the GM. Now, unlike the GM, by the time they get to the code district type or War in the Pocket, they are not that set on yellow Falcons in their design, so no color correction is provided. And I am not sure why, but they decided not to give the extra sculpture. It's actually a negative ridge inside the original GM. But they decided not to give any details inside the lens, so I painted this one with metallics to hopefully give it some vibes, pretty much, to cover the lack of detail, let's put it that way. But yeah, otherwise, this thing has a lot more detailing on it compared to the original GM, and that is what Bandai was trying to do when they designed the code district type. Gundam didn't left its pseudo futuristic military roots from Okawara's design. It's also part of Tomino's idea with it. So it has some pseudo sci-fi military roots in the modeling department. And they add more details in their mobile suit designs, and they translate a lot of details on the code district type. That's why you see a lot more just things on the code district type in general. And I'm glad they recreated them on the code district type. Even on the back next to the backpack, you got a bit of detailing. So that is pretty impressive stuff. The back skirt also get some maybe rivets, maybe lifting eyes on the side. That's pretty cool. And got a pelvis thruster, pretty cool stuff. And yeah, some detailing on the back of the knee as well. It is kind of interesting how they show the code district type having cable types things running on the back of the knee, but that's a separate topic. Either way, this code district type have back of the knee detailing. The ankle have a separate piece for detailing and for the foot to join in the ball. So more color separation. That's another improvement from the original GM. Backpack pretty much just like the regular HGUC GM. One piece backpack with the thruster nozzles in separate parts, so it looks nicer. Also a separate beam saber hilt again. We'll talk about this in Gimmick. And then a much better styled shield attachment bracket strap, which is actually how Okawara envisioned it from the beginning, but sort of cut it down for the original GM to make it look even more, cost efficient, low cost. And yeah, the shoulder armor, instead of the simple one piece, it does have, is sculpted a sideward factor thrusters, shoulder factor thrusters for it. Now, the code district type supposed to be a late war variant of the regular GM. That's why it has the Gundam number 4 and number 5 style of neo heat exchange system and thruster at the back. But if you look down at the knees, it's still one long shin armor, or fused with the shin armor. And instead of the iron briefs, it actually have skirt armor. And like we said before, it have pelvis thrusters. So this does give the code district type a more serious, more capable look compared to the regular GM. Now, one interesting tidbit is, despite the code district type appear in the show as more robot person proportion like this. The line guard was traced on top of Okawala's line guards of GM, kind of. It's copied from. So in the line art, the co-district type appear a lot more close to the Koala power armor proportion. Having said that, I would not fault because the line sort of the take of the line lines up with the take of the show. So style wise, lacking or rather requiring a lot of color correction isn't great, but you don't, I wouldn't say you don't miss them. It does make the kit less accurate, but they don't hurt as much as they do when the whole package is put together. Let's put it that way. Surprisingly. Now it is still using the very old archaic part separation, and even the ankle armor is still in 2 pieces. So I would give this kit an A purely because I like the design of the code district type. It retains a lot of the base GM aesthetics and managed to add in a lot of late war Gundam aesthetic onto it, making it look like a fitting late war variant of a GM with improved performance, not only to Arctic environment. To be honest, I feel like the code district type seems like a good, just a simple upgrade from the base type GM. But the law is the law. It is an upgrade for the Arctics where you still have air unlike space, but you also have a lot more other things that you have to deal with that does not appear in space, like snowstorm still exists in space, but not as frequent, dense, severe, etc. So barely grasping an A on that department. Next is action. Basically the same as the regular GM. Just 90-degree or less than 90. Yeah, actually slightly better than 90-degree, 95-degree elbow, thanks to the newer armor design, leaving some room for the elbow to move around. Although the shoulder thruster do means the arm couldn't raise exactly 90 degrees, and it is still using the single pin in the armpit, so decent movement, but longevity is questionable. The knee is still just slightly better than 90 degree again, despite being double jointed, and with a slightly fancier back skirt. Well, actually, I think the back skirts have a bit more angle so we can kick higher. Either way, just the same as GM really. Side skirt again, even though it doesn't go out very far, the leg does not go out any further, so no fault here. And the foot is on a ball from the foot. I'm pretty sure they do this just for the ankle piece, but it does give the code district type a lot more foot. It does give the code district type a lot more foot articulation. So let's see if this is kind of chaotic, but just trying to demonstrate how much of a wider stance the code district type can take in comparison. basically, few years after the original or initial HGUC release, we are seeing some quite dramatic new range of actions already. And let's see. No, you can't. Yeah, you can kind of see the ball. But yeah, usually the Niyama should cover it. And this is a bit of the gimmick side, but because of the design of the 90mm machine gun and the tiny stock, you're kind of stuck with having the gun hand on an awkward angle. In fact, you can't really do it. Well, you can. You can do it like this, but it's really unnatural looking. So we are going to put it back into the place where it meant to be. That is on a ball joint, same as the GM. They raised the neck joint a bit, so the code district type, if I don't know if you can see, can look up slightly more if not for the armor at the back interfering. But yeah, it does have more tilt because of the slightly less hidden neck. And unlike the GM, the code district type does not have any funky swivel crunch or sideways like the original GM. It is just a simple flat turning for the hip. So a bit of a knock in action department. Now the front skirt of the GM code district type, despite it looks like they are separate, they are not. They are linked with a single shaft. So yeah, it just have one axle inside, and you can't easily modify it to give it separate movement, which is kind of sad. But this is one of their earlier ventures for making a newer, or rather adding more to a cheaper model without making it that much more expensive. Because the front skirt can lift up so much, now the GM code district type can kick way high up in the air. Too bad the skirts don't move independently though. Again, with the theme of the code district type being an improved version of the standard GM, this is very fitting. You lose some, but you win some, so I would maintain the same ratings as is. Now Gimmick. Now one thing with the new styling of the code district type is it can barely reach the beam saber, which is sort of a downgrade from the original HGUC GM, but you can still kinda do it, so just slightly less gimmicky, I guess. The beam saber, just like the GM, it is just a hilt with nothing, so not much there to talk about. The shield, like we talk about in styling, is just the standard Federation shield without the Federation star. Pretty much just Bandai's attempt to make it more realistic, although a ridge in your shield does help with some type of defense against some weapons, so you win some, you lose some. The back of the shield is basically the same. You got a new shield strap, and unlike the original GM, the handle sticking out a little bit more. So with some fiddling, you can make it look like GM code district type is grabbing on a shield with a 2-point stabilization. Now, it does come with a standard holding hand as well. You can also fit the handle onto the standard holding hand as well, but like we have learned from the GM, it is a bit more flexible, I guess, for more situations. Now, the 90mm machine gun that the Cold District type is known for, it is based on a stand gun, except it have a looks like extendable but not really stock, and a grenade launcher. The magazine is detachable. The magazine is detachable and it actually sticks pretty far in, like it actually going into the chamber. And if we position the hands correctly, you can make it so that it is holding on to the magazine like you would on a stand. Well, not really, you would hold on to the mag well, but some people, or some photos show people hold on to the magazine. Despite how much movement does the 90mm machine gun limits the movement or position of the hand and the forearm, I would say it is a great gimmick. Now, you would expect Bandai to just give you the same old one-piece beam saber for the Cold District type, but they do one better, supposedly. They give you a beam saber holding hand. Instead of a hammer grip, it gives you a handshake grip. On the plus side, it does make for more dramatic, I guess, slashing action or fighting stance. But the negative is now that the hand is not in the correct color, so you need to paint it back into the machine gray along with the beam saber blade. I think overall is a improvement as far as a hobbyist is concerned. For a straight builder, I mean, painting it gray isn't too hard, or dark gray, black isn't too hard. I just choose not to paint this at all because for me, the Cold District types is meant to hold and shoot the stand gun, and that's all it does, given how it got totally stomped by the Cyclops. So gimmick wise, because the Cold District type doesn't, I wouldn't say the Cold District type does not appear more. I mean, it is a pretty iconic part of the War in Pocket series, but it only appears in the first episode pretty much. Even in lore books, it does not have much more weapons. You can argue that the Cold District types still have standard GM hands, standard GM connection, and mostly hardware that it should use more GM weapons, which is where we go into absence. Into that, yeah, it lacks all of that, so no S rank for the GM Cold District type. The grenade launcher, the underbarrel grenade launcher, you can see a clear ejection port, but then some games depicted the front end is the grenade itself, so they would have the grenades in red. I am cool either way, I guess. So it is just some things to bear in mind for absence, not really that it does not exist at all, just that it is not how this kid interpret the 90mm machine gun. And like styling, it is lacking in the color separations for all the fans, pretty much. Again, it does not hurt the look overall, but it is an absence. Besides good, still no operable hardpoint or storage, but it is sort of unclear for the code district type, so not a big problem. So to summarize, style-wise, the GM code district type is very much on point, except it does have a few color missings that requires sticker or even paint color corrections. That is an easy 8. Action-wise, it got some action upgrades, either due to the design itself or some engineering improvement. But with the more forgiving front skirts, even though you can't do a real kneeling pose, you can do a sort of wild action hero kneeling pose with this, which I guess is a improvement in a sense. So the action would maintain to be B. Gimmick wise, it has everything, even the removable magazines being long enough to go all the way into the barrel. The shield handle is now long enough to go into the hand. The beam saber having a handshake grip along with it, although it is only in one piece. So I would keep it an A because it has everything when you think of about a GM code district type. Now to absence. Basically throughout the other 3 aspects, you have a accumulations of absence of incorrect color separation, and then some of the inherent action or lack thereof inherent action. I guess you don't really miss the beam saber, you just have a more or less straight build friendly version of it. Not many absence again. So overall, the HGUC 1-144 GM code district type gets an A for style, B in action, A in gimmick. Absence also gets an A, so it's handily slightly better than the GM, despite it does not have as much surprises as the GM did. A lot of that have to do with Bandai just knows better by the time they design the code district type and by the time they make the HGUC version of it. It is just a variant of the GM, and it benefits a lot from that. It is still a small box. I don't have it with me now, but it is still a old school HGUC small box, and it contains a very cool looking GM, very much pun intended, for a very reasonable price and a relatively easy build. For those of you who are true hobbyists that would fix all the clamshelling, that wants a bit more sophistication from the original GM, the code district type is a good addition, if you ask me. You can't really miss out on the old simple super cheap GM, and the code district type is a good, more refined model with it, not so too minimalist. Let's be reasonable, let's put some functions back in. At least looks more like it is capable. Now, in the series, the code district type got completely stormed either way, but it does not stop it being one of the coolest, if not by default, 1 year war period GM. Thanks for watching.